So a lot of people been asking me, how was it? What were some of the things I learned? So in this video, I'm going to talk about the process. And I'm going to give you the real, from a new perspective from bodybuilding. So first time show, so you can basically look at it as, I guess, a testimony from somebody that's very new to the sport if you're thinking about getting into it yourself. So when did I start this? So I say I officially started about January 2024. January 2024. That's when I started at the gym. Shout out Pro Lift Gym in Boston. If you are in the Boston area, definitely be sure to hit them up. So I started January. So what that process looked like for me, it was like the first 3 months I received kind of like a default meal plan. And the intent behind that was just to see, could I stick to a diet and build up the habits before I took on or paid for a more personalized meal plan, like getting ready for a show prep. So for the first 3 months, I did that. Lost a decent amount of weight. I want to say I probably lost like 15-ish pounds in those 3 months. So then after I did that, then it was like at the 4th month was when I finally started doing the individual customized plan, and that lasted all the way to November. So more details on the whole diet piece. As far as what I'm learning from that, dieting is hard. I've never been on a diet before. The diet consists of, can't really get into the details because, that's pro lifter sauce. But, it's high protein diet, manipulating carbs depending on whether you're cutting or bulking. Pretty simple stuff like that. I think the most important piece of the whole diet part was just the discipline. Because I did travel this year as well, even though, I still had a show coming up in November. So it was a lot of times where I had to pack food and take it on trips. I never done anything like this before. So I'm in the airport, with carry-on bags, with suitcases, carrying Kirsten suitcases. Then I also got my cooler full of food. Then it's like they don't take the ice, so sometimes you got to dump the ice out before you go through TSA. Then you got to fill the ice back up at one of the restaurants in the airport. So it's just a lot. But that was just one incident with the diet piece. And there was even one point I had to travel somewhere for work. I think it was Alaska? Mm-hmm. It was Alaska, Colorado, something like that. And it was even where I had to get like meal prep service delivered to the hotel. Because, you training for a show, you got to stick to the diet no matter what. So, a lot of people was asking me about, what was that like, how is dieting and traveling. And really, overall, what it taught me was that there's truly no excuse. Like, you go anywhere in the world, they going to have a grocery store, they going to have chicken breasts, they going to have rice, it's going to be there. Like, you don't have to, go out and party. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it takes money, though, I think, to, like, make those healthy decisions. So I don't want to, like, discount the fact that, like, it's expensive. I feel like this entire process, one of the things we both learned was that it's a financial commitment for sure.
It's definitely expensive. It's definitely expensive.
Yeah.
But
like getting those meals delivered and all that stuff.
No, it's definitely expensive. But I feel like the expensive part is really the training and like the gym membership. Because I feel like spending money grocery wise, I really spend less compared to eating out every day when I was just literally door dashing $40-$50 meals 2-3 times a day.
That is true.
So from that part,
Yeah.
at least grocery bill wise, I feel like I saved a lot more on food. But at least now, you know, you get a pack of chicken like $10, $15 for a decent amount of chicken breasts. I mean, that was a diet piece. I mean, workout wise, workouts is very hard. I mean, very, very hard. I mean, I like the whole concept around bodybuilding where a lot of the training was to failure, like true failure. So I never really trained to true failure before in my life. So a lot of times when you lifting by yourself, you know, you can't even really train to failure. It's really you training to the point where you feel like, you know, if you do another rep, you might hurt yourself. So you really just stop. So I would say I recommend, you know, if you think you really want to train to failure, you should have a workout partner or get a trainer. Because, you know, once you really get to that point where you think you done, they can probably help you with 4 or 5 more force reps. And I feel like that's where you would probably see a lot of the muscle growth. What else? I guess mental wise, I was fine mentally for the most part. I mean, by the time you get closer to the show, I feel like that's just a different situation. So now we fast forward into probably like, you know, 2 months out. You know, so at that point, I'm locked in on a diet. The diet is pretty much robotic at this point, not even thinking about cheating or any of that. Like I said, in that beginning period, them first 3 months, I had some cheat meals. My coach watched this video. She probably gonna be mad, but she knew anyway. She could probably tell. But like I said, it's about, you know, getting adjusted. So them first 3 months, like I said, that meal plan just came with me, you know, signing up at the gym. So it was really a commitment to myself and really seeing, you know, what I could do. But once I started paying money for the plan, that's when I was like locked in. So for the show, let's say 2 months out, you know, it was getting hard. You start eating less, doing more and more cardio, just tired, cranky.
Emphasis on the cranky. Yeah.
Emphasis on the cranky. You know, me and Kirsten, we get into some random arguments that I would probably blow out of proportion just because I was hungry.
Literally almost daily. It was crazy.
So
I feel like mentally you were okay, but like emotionally, it takes a toll for sure. And for some people probably mentally too, but
yeah. I will say though, like that final 2 months when you really start manipulating, you know, the water and sodium, all that, you really see changes in your body for sure. Like you can really tell like on the daily. So I just say, you know, one thing I wasn't expecting is just like, even when I got to the point where I was cutting water, like I really ain't know how much water help you doo-doo. I'm gonna throw that out there because I don't know if people know about that. But when you cutting that water, man, when you doo-doo, it was hard. Like literally bricks. And I was like, wow, I didn't know water was that important. I mean, obviously that's why people are not on diets like this year round. You just doing it, you know, for a set date. But I'm like, man, every time I'm trying to go to the bathroom, I'm sitting there forever like, look, I ain't got no liquid in me. So that was pretty bad.
But that was just the week of the show.
Yeah, that was just like the week of the show.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I mean, that was fine. I mean, more so related to men, if I'm just throwing it out there, I would say when I was just walking around, living life normal, erection-wise, I wasn't getting random erections no more. So that was a thing, but you know, when it was time to do what I had to do, I got it done. But just it wasn't randomly anymore. And like I said, specifically for dudes, you know how you just walk around and just randomly, boom, pop out of nowhere. So that kind of stopped happening as I got closer and closer to the show. And the thing is, I wasn't even thinking about it. Like, I was just noticing, like I said, when you get them last 2 months, I'm like, shredded, whatever. I'm just like, bro, I was just noticing that just stuff is just changing with my body that I didn't even know that could happen. So that was pretty interesting too. I mean, I guess what else? I said, I mean, that's pretty much it. It just really tests your discipline. Like you always, I'll say it's a lonely sport. You're gonna be putting in a lot of time in the gym. So if you got, significant others or partners or whatever, be sure to communicate with them what to expect because I mean you just may not know what you're getting yourself into. It's truly a lifestyle change.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part, to communicate to someone that may be partnering with you while you're, especially doing your first show, because like you didn't know that like all of these changes were going to happen
I
with your
didn't.
body. I mean, I think you had an idea that it would be a lifestyle change, but I don't even know if at least I didn't expect for it to be like to the extent that it was.
Yeah.
So
Like
I
if
think
I
when it's like
wasn't
your first
lifting,
time, it's
I
like,
was doing cardio. If I wasn't doing cardio, I
right.
was meal prepping.
Yeah.
If I wasn't meal prepping, I was sleeping. If I wasn't sleeping, I was getting a massage. If I wasn't getting a massage, I was
Yeah.
stretching. So it's definitely like a lifestyle change for sure. Or even just, activities. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go to the bar with my friends tonight. It's
Right, the
just
social
like
aspect. Yeah.
that's just not the thing. What I'm gonna do, just sit there. And I mean, I did go out a couple times to bars, but I was literally sitting there drinking water, and it's just like,
Yeah.
all right,
And I feel like if you are in a relationship and you do a show, granted your first show or for people that have done shows before, like I do think in that like prep phase, like it's hard like to figure out, okay, well, and I talk to people about this all the time, like what do me and Greg like to do outside of like trying a new restaurant or going to for drinks or going to the movies and getting the big bucket of popcorn. Like what else like can we do to kind of keep our relationship going and like keep our date nights going? And so I feel like it did kind of force us to like just come up with some new ideas and different things that we can do that didn't center around food and drink. So that was kind of like an unexpected challenge because I definitely felt like we fell into a place where we were just like in the house all the time because it was just hard to like, we had never been in this like new change before where we had to be very like picky about what we ate and what we drank, and I didn't like to go out and like eat and drink, and he couldn't. I was very
yeah.
conscious about.
But it helped you lose some weight too.
It did. It really did. Cuz I was like, if I did go out and have a bad meal, I would literally eat it in the car. Like everybody, well, most people know, if y'all know us, I love Chick-fil-A. And I would go to Chick-fil-A and sit in the parking lot and eat in the car because I didn't want to like bring it back to him or, you know.
Yeah.
So
I would say that was
a lot.
probably more, it would have been more harmful in the beginning than at the end.
Yeah.
Because once I got closer to the show, like I was just like full robot mode. Like it was, that thing was throwing me off course.
Yeah.
So even with that, I think just going back to the beginning, I saw this quote on Instagram and it was like, make sure you build bodybuilder habits before you decide to become a bodybuilder or compete like that. And I would definitely say that is true because initially I thought I was going to come off the street and in 3 months do a show. And that's when, I had brought that to my coaches at Pro Lifters or whatever. I was like, and I was out of shape for sure, just out of shape off the street. I'm like, okay, I want to do a show starting January. I want to do a show. Show was in like April. Basically had to send some progress pics in, or not even progress, just pictures of how I currently look. And Maria, love her, always was honest with me. She's like, you just 3 months is just not enough time to get ready. And I'm like, looking back at it, that's probably fair. Because you had to realize that 3 months, like I said, it really took the full 3 months for me to get used to doing the diet. And like I said, I did have some cheat meals. So then imagine my show was in April. I was already cheating in the 3 months. And then it was just going to be downhill. Mm-hmm. So I am glad that I decided to do the November show. Because like I said, I was initially going in this only going to do it for 3 months. Then some way, somehow, this turned to a 8-9 month venture. And I'm like, oh, Lord. But, looking back at it, it was definitely worth it. And now I feel like, it's working out is part of what I do. I mean, I worked out a lot in college, but it's because I played football. It was hard for me to find that motivation just in regular life. Mm-hmm. Kirsten told me she was gonna love me whether I was fat or not. So I know a lot of dudes say that. It's like, all right then, if you already married, then what's the point? Unless you really just like it. But looking back at it, I didn't feel good being that heavy. And people know me. The confidence has always been there for sure. However, I will say, post-show body definitely feel even more confident. Like I never felt super, conscious about my body. It was just really me looking in the mirror like, really, this is how you walking around right now. Like this is just what we on. Yeah. So, yeah. Anything else?
Overall, I felt like I was, Greg has always been a very disciplined person. Ever since we first met, I've always been sort of in awe of his discipline and him sort of like making goals for himself and checking those off. And I feel like this competition was just another goal. You've been talking about this for a long time. Like I've been wanting to do a show. I want to, he has a cousin that does bodybuilding, so he had been interested in it. And when he was like, I found a gym and this is what I want to do, I was 100% behind him, because I just know when he puts his mind to something, like he's going to do it. So I was just, trying to be as supportive as I could. It was definitely a learning curve for me too. But I felt like we both learned a lot about ourselves, each other, our relationship through the entire process. And like he said, I felt like I was being more intentional with my diet, because of his very strict diet. Obviously, I wasn't on the same diet he was, but it did cause me to kind of stop and think about like what I'm eating. And I feel like the both of us, even now post-show, have not necessarily been on a diet, but have definitely been more like conscious about the food that we eat. And I know Greg has still kind of been like meal prepping a little bit, and
I still been eating some chicken bursts.
Yeah. So I feel like we've
it's about taken, moderation.
Right.
It's about moderation.
And I was gonna say, I feel like we've taken like the things that we've learned from that experience and are definitely still applying them into our life now. Maybe not as stringent as was before.
Yeah.
But still kind of holding on to like some of those foundational things that you learned.
I still love B-dubs. But instead of getting that 20 piece,
that's always gonna be there.
Instead of getting that 20 piece, I'm gonna get the 10 piece now. Cause like, you know what? I can do 10. Why I gotta get 20?
Right. And maybe like twice a month. Not like at first we were going like once a week, which is crazy.
That is wild.
So I definitely feel like, Pro Lifters, your new life starts here. Like it definitely has changed the way I think both of us think about what we're putting in our body and just being conscious about moving your body. Maybe not to the extent of a bodybuilder, again, in my case, but, I feel like he definitely set a good example for our home and our household, for me, for our friends, about what you can achieve when just a discipline, effort, and stay in the course.
Mm-hmm. So you thinking about do it, you might as well do it. A boy or girl, just do it full send. I said, find you a good gym, find you a reputable coach. I would definitely say get a coach, and then after you use a coach for a bit and decide you feel like you're confident enough to do it on your own, then you can go that route. But we're blessed enough, fortunately, where I'm just like, I'll just pay and let the experts do their thing rather than try to spend a bunch of time making mistakes, trying to create my own workout, create my own diets. Like, it is a lot that goes into it. So I wouldn't necessarily waste your time, doing it by yourself. But you could. It's up to you. I'm just telling you what I would recommend. So, yeah. Got anything else?
No.
Well,
He keeps asking me when I'm gonna do a show, and I just don't know if I have the discipline to do it.
She not gonna put down that Chick-fil-A, man.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
If we get her to put down the Chick-fil-A, I think it'll be fine. So we'll see. But yeah, if you got any other questions or topics you want us to talk about, feel free to let us know down in the comments.
Love you guys.